The mindset I developed clearly is one that nothing comes without exploring and experimenting. It is something that you have to do. There are no easy answers. Success is not a one-day story. It's a long walk. Getting back to basics means the vision of my life. What do I want?
Hmm.
What do I want most of? And does that decision conflict with it? So often people take decisions impulsively, not realizing that they all add up. But if you are anchored in your vision and everything is in context of that, things start falling into place. Yeah, but do you sometimes lose sight? Absolutely. It's about taking a pause, checking in, and coming back. So the more you go deeper inside, the more you are able to listen to yourself and the world
Hmm.
and the purity of the intention. And so it's a lot about strengthening your core and anchoring within and aligning yourself. It's a skill that requires everyday discipline. It doesn't happen overnight. That you've been very observant yourself and aware to come back to those two nuggets.
Yes,
So that for me is very heartening, and thank you for that.
right. It's my pleasure, ma'am. Hello, my icebugs. Welcome to the Icebug Show with Saurabh Puranik. Here, we share character enriching and entrepreneurial content by uncovering the minds of successful people. So, please make sure to subscribe us and share these videos with your friends and family and become a part of their growth story. I request you to note down the learnings of this video in your diary or in the comment box. So, let's grow together. Our today's guest is Ashu Khanna, ma'am. She is an entrepreneur, author, leadership coach, and chartered accountant. She is the founder of Arca Leadership. It develops authentic leaders globally through customized leadership development solutions. She has been ranked 29th by Your Story amongst the 100 emerging voices in India and received an award as the 101 Fabulous Coaches in India by World Coaching Congress. In this episode, we talked about her iceberg story, values, and characteristics of an entrepreneur, and how to be a great leader. While listening, you will feel that the depth of her wisdom, open mindset, and calmness. So, enjoy this episode and comment your learnings. So, let's grow together. Hello, Ashu ma'am. It's an honor to welcome you on the Iceberg Show with Saurabh Puranik.
Morning, Saurabh. Thank you for inviting me, and pleasure to be here with you.
Let's start with my signature question. That is, what is your iceberg story? Can you please tell us about your entrepreneurial journey? What mindset you develop over this period, and what challenges you have overcome with those mindset?
So, becoming an entrepreneur for me was quite by accident. It wasn't something that I ever considered consciously. As a student, I've done my chartered accountancy.
Hmm.
It was only in my mid to late 30s that I decided to start looking for alternate career options, which would work me through all my transitions of life. And as I went through my search, which took me a few years and hits and trials and misses, I stumbled upon a gap in the industry on leadership development.
Hmm.
Having noticed that there was no a very negligible focus on leadership development in India,
Hmm.
is how I set about retraining myself completely. I found my calling in coaching, and that's then it's one thing led to the other.
Hmm.
The mindset I developed clearly is one that nothing comes without exploring and experimenting. It is something that you have to do. There are no easy answers. Success is not a one-day story. It's a long walk. It's a very long walk with lots of failures, lots of lessons. And as long as you're willing to learn from each lesson, that's really what matters. Taking those pauses to really think about, what do I want next? Am I going right? Is it in alignment with my vision? So it's taught me many things, but above all, it's helped me unleash and discover myself. I could not have either known the kind of potential or things I could do without walking on this journey.
Hmm.
And neither could I have unfolded so many facets about myself had I not walked this path.
Hmm.
Uh, the resilience, the creativity, the compassion. There are just so many things that, and new ones keep emerging.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's a very, very interesting space to get into.
Yes. Uh, my next question is that a lot of youngsters want to be an entrepreneur, but they don't know, do they have required characteristics in them? And even if they don't have, they can polish themselves in that direction. So, what are the signs of an entrepreneurial talent that one can find in herself or himself?
So the first and foremost thing is the ability to take risk.
Hmm.
Any entrepreneurial journey starts with risk and not all the answers. If you're okay, you cannot have all your answers. And you have to have the agility and the ability to keep morphing your product or changing it rather than expecting it to get tied up and perfected day one.
Hmm.
So that's one very significant attribute that you need in this. Uh, Conviction in what you're doing. It takes time for results to pan out.
Hmm.
You have to be able to ride the tide. Like when I started out as a coach, there was nobody in the industry here. I mean, nobody knew what I was talking about. I'm pretty much a pioneer coach. No one had heard of it, no one understood it. So just educating the market, sharing stories, going about trying to figure out how to communicate something that was inspiring me so strongly was by itself a huge learning, because I was always having to adapt myself to the audience
Hmm.
to build that buy-in. It was a new conversation, new experience each time, and I think that itself teaches you a lot. So being observant is another very big thing for an entrepreneur,
Hmm.
and knowing your strengths, knowing your limitations, knowing where you can't do things, and collaborating with others. That acceptance is paramount, because thinking that you've suddenly got an idea and you can make it all happen, no, it comes with a lot of hard work and a lot of support of many others. Constant learning, like all of last year's mantra has been upskilling, reskilling, learning,
Hmm.
unlearning, and all. And that's really what entrepreneurship is.
Yes. So that's pretty relatable right now. Uh, my next question is that what one value you can't compromise on and why? And also, can you please share that where you feel that this is important and you can't compromise? Sure.
So the one value that I would definitely not compromise is integrity with myself.
Hmm.
If there's one thing my journey of life has taught me, is that the only way to live is being true to self. And it is that which I've actually taken on as a mission, to encourage people to live true, being true to themselves. There is a gold mine inside us, of creativity, of potentiality, of possibilities, of answers, insights, everything. Everything rests within us.
Hmm.
Uh, why would I let go of that one treasure, which is always with me and most precious and most dear, and uh, my truest friend, guide, companion, everything. So, and it's given me this entire abundance that I have with me today. So, yeah, that is one value I would not compromise on.
Okay. My next question is that, ma'am, you regularly featured on various forums like Entrepreneur, Forbes, Your Story, etc. So, can you please tell us about any incident where your audience drastically changed your mindset and that helped you to excel in your life?
So, listening to feedback is a very much a part of being authentic. It is a part of leadership. It is a part of entrepreneurship, because ultimately I'm here to serve the customer.
Hmm.
And at each point, my work has progressed and changed a lot with that feedback. So, like just before our conversation today, I had a call with someone who's recommending that I should do audiobooks, record
Okay.
my books in my own voice.
Hmm.
And this suggestion even came to me last year, but I didn't have the bandwidth last year.
Hmm.
I'm really thinking of taking this project on. So, it's really taking that thing
Hmm.
that if somebody is recommending, hey, is it time? That means, and this has come back to me not once, not twice, but a couple of times, more than a couple of times. So it's maybe time to in put aside time and do this, really invest time in converting my content into audiobooks. So yeah, I do
Hmm.
keep on taking audience feedback.
Okay, but that also a skill, because a lot of people don't accept those criticism or those suggestions as well. So because they have those sort of standards in, or that vision in the, they have for their project. So how to develop those skills, ma'am?
Uh, so the more you go deeper inside, the more you are able to listen to yourself and the world
Hmm.
and the purity of the intention. And so it's a lot about strengthening your core and anchoring within and aligning yourself. It's a skill that requires everyday discipline. It doesn't happen overnight. Um, and also, like any entrepreneur, forget about, it's not just about me, but even any product
Hmm.
ultimately becomes popular in the market because there's a consumer who wants it
Huh.
and continues to want it.
Hmm.
Now, if the consumer, for instance, now Pepsi is a classic story of first being lots of aerated drinks and then moving into fruit juices,
Hmm.
big time with Tropicana and everything.
Hmm.
Now, that was highly customer feedback oriented, that
Hmm.
decision, the strategy move. So I would say any leader must look into the trends and what the audience is asking for now.
Okay. Okay. Uh, let's move on to the next question. I believe that self-awareness is an important aspect of leadership. If you are not identify your mood, because we actually act according to our mood, and no matter how much training you will going to take, if you are not self-aware about that, you will end up shouting at someone. You will end up at criticizing others, because we generally have a human tendency that we act according to our mood. So what steps one can follow to become self-aware, and what steps you follow in your daily routine?
So, emotional control and regulation is something which needs practice,
Hmm.
whether it's meditation. There are very many tools, whether you do your runs and walks, or you do painting or writing. Like for me, writing works as a great way of doing it. I'm
Mhm.
very particular about my morning 1 hour,
Mhm.
that time to myself, where I combine my walking with listening to some bhajans.
Mhm.
I do my yoga regularly. So there is a certain routine and discipline that's required to build that.
Okay.
The second part is absolutely true. We all are human. We all have moments of weakness when we lose our temper or say
Mhm.
things which are not appropriate. I
Correct.
think what self awareness does is, as you get more and more aware of yourself, you also become more accepting of the fact that accepting of the consequences of your moods,
Hmm.
and therefore you become more vigilant of them, in what triggers my moods, what is it that I need to do to hone in that.
Huh.
So with awareness comes the understanding of the triggers, with awareness comes the understanding of what works, what doesn't work, and also the acceptance of consequences.
Hmm. Okay. That's true, ma'am. But do you think that self-control is also important for that?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Emotional, it's self control. Ultimately, yes, you have to learn to control yourself. You cannot So that is what integrity itself is. It's not about just saying what you feel like saying, it's saying what makes sense in that space and time.
Hmm.
What is impactful, influencing, valuable, relevant, rather than just speaking for the sake of speaking.
Yes, correct, ma'am. I absolutely agree with that. Ma'am, we always say that leaders should be fearless, think out of the box, and also that lead from the front, etc. But at the end of the day, he or she is also a human being. So obviously, we can feel the pressure, but how to tackle those pressure?
So the more senior you get, yes, the higher is your responsibility to
Hmm.
decisions and outcomes.
Hmm.
And that absolutely puts you in the hot seat of feeling the pressure, which is normal.
Hmm.
But that is what makes a person more mindful of their decisions, more understanding that it's a responsibility and it starts and ends with you.
Hmm.
So it comes back to really taking leadership of your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, and being coming from your core. Now, the more you hear a lot of leaders last year,
Hmm.
all of them will talk about, yes, there were difficult decisions, there were no answers, it was an imperfect situation, but I did what felt right.
Hmm.
And what felt right, or what was the most right in that time, is what they did. And that's how you learn to live with your decisions. You know, you are doing what is right in that moment of time, at that point in time. The other part is, not all of us know what's right. There is no way to know. We all need to take support of experts.
Yes.
We have to turn to others who may know more. Like in this, COVID was a classic case where you had to lean on the doctors, the whole medical community, the scientists, everybody, whatever uh, the guidelines issued by WHO and so on had to be followed. It wasn't about doing your own thing.
Hmm.
So taking that opinion of experts, filtering that out, also making time for yourself, very important, because each one needs to renew that creativity. It's not something that just keeps flowing. You need to take a pause to check in with yourself, center yourself, bring back that creative thinking, bring back that pause to listen to others, bring back that calmness to absorb everything that's coming your way.
Mhm.
So taking support for it, and many leaders have coaches. If you look at in the West, and even today in India and East, many Fortune 500 leaders have coaches.
Hmm.
All all sports players have coaches, because everybody needs to understand their blind spots
Correct.
and have someone, a confidant, have someone they can share with and think through with. So taking support, taking a pause, taking listening to experts, having a more disciplined routine, there are quite a few things that you need to do to manage that stress.
Hmm.
It's
So
a
I,
lifestyle and it's a way of living and being.
yes. So it's pretty obvious to feel vulnerable for that situation, and if you are feeling that, you need someone to fill that gap, and you
Correct.
have to rely on a mentor or a coach.
Yeah, mentor, coach, somebody. Yes, you have to. I mean, human beings. The I don't know is, I think last year was a classic case of not knowing. And we still don't know many answers, even though vaccinations are out, but it's not as if the world is turning around overnight.
Hmm.
There's still many unknowns, and technology, of course, has thrown even more unknowns in our way in any case over the years.
Yes. Yes, yes. So my next question is that, ma'am, I like your article on reverse mentoring, and I feel that this is important for India to become superpower, because lot of people are young and decision makers are older. But here I feel the challenge with millennials, because when you know certain things, you feel that you want to prove yourself, then you become arrogant for that period when you know someone, when you know more than your leader, and you think that how he or she is holding that position and don't understand that such a simple concept or simple technology. I can do that job in a much better way. So that gives us that these vibes gives such awkwardness to senior professionals, and they become resistant to take like suggestions from a young professional or a less experienced person. So what advice you will give to millennials, so that you are not hurting your leaders, and but you are still practicing this reverse mentoring? So
So in reverse mentoring, actually, it's an equation that has to work both ways.
hmm,
The leader has to be open, and the person, the millennial, has to be able to communicate and command respect as well.
hmm,
Now, you talked about vulnerability, so understand that leaders are also vulnerable.
hmm,
And I think the minute one accepts and understands that they are vulnerable uh, to not knowing, and yet they have a stature of having achieved so much. So it is keeping that in mind, which is very helpful. It is very natural for a millennial to be passionate and zealous about what they know.
yes,
I've been there too. I have also, after all, been through my youth where I felt I was invincible and I knew more than anybody or anything. Uh, I think it's some organizations actually have programs, formal programs to support this.
hmm,
And today's millennials are, I would say, quite mature in my experience.
hmm,
They are, yes, when it comes to, for instance, technology,
hmm,
uh, they completely know that, and they are more abreast with it, agile. Like just today morning, I was speaking to my son,
hmm,
and I asked him, I said, about videos, how do I go about it? And he said, oh mom, there are so many apps and links today that can do it for you. And within 10 minutes, he said, but the first thing he said was, he says, you've come such a long way with technology. Yes, maybe 10 years ago you couldn't have done it, but now you can.
hmm,
So he sent me 10 links, and with lots of, so it was very non-threatening by first just sending the links.
hmm.
He's said, okay, here are the links which may give you a sense of how you could tutor yourself or familiarize. And after that, I can walk you through.
Okay.
Uh, so just a example that came to mind, right? Because it's so fresh from the morning conversation today.
Okay. I feel that actually this is important. This model is actually important for India. So I feel that every organization should have such kind of programs in their organization, and we can capitalize on that aspect, and we can make our country great.
The other thing I would say is, you talked about the leader having the experience.
Huh.
So it's a two-way learning. I
Hmm.
think if I had to shift the word from reverse mentoring to just a two-way learning exchange,
Huh.
I think that would really set the tone, because both are imparting something to each other in that conversation and interaction. And the minute you go in with that attitude, that what can I soak out of the leader in that instant,
Hmm.
and how can I share what I know as well,
Hmm.
um, I think the whole space changes and opens.
Okay. That's pretty insightful. Uh, my next question is that, like, what is the best way to communicate with someone who lacks empathy? And also, can you please share some of the tips on increasing your empathy quotient?
So I think people who lack, I wouldn't say does anybody really lack empathy. I think it's just a question of maybe they're not expressive in how they're so sometimes focused on getting a task done
Hmm.
that they don't even realize that they are not coming across as empathetic.
Hmm.
Uh, and I think just giving them that space sometimes, or standing up and saying, yeah, I will do it, but can I get some time?
Hmm.
How soon does it need to be done? Or appreciating that the person is coming from a place of constraints,
Hmm.
and they have their own constraints which are maybe which are pushing them to being the way they are behaving. How you can really cultivate it, so it can actually have a mirroring impact. If you are listening in and being empathetic, it could possibly just have the other person being, taking that moment to be empathetic back. Does it always work? No, I know that. But listening is a skill that takes time to develop. Listening, it's not like hearing, it's really listening to the emotions, the context, the issues. Like a colleague of mine was repeatedly throwing her stress at me with some pressure she was facing, and two of us kept getting into a tussle over. I said, I just can't do this for you. And then I realized that actually all that was happening was she was struggling with her constraints, and the our conversation kept going back and forth 2 3 times. And at one point I sat back and thought to myself, where is she coming from? What is it that is causing her to be so stressful?
Okay.
The minute I said, I understand that you have your you are accountable as well, and you have your constraints. How best can we make this work with my constraints in play?
Hmm.
The whole conversation changed.
Yeah. So,
The dynamics of it changed. So, not judging,
hmm.
listening, and being authentic.
Okay. Okay. So, do you think that the skill that requires this sort of communication to be happen is that you have to observe people and you have to adapt to according to their situation as well as considering your situation too. So,
Absolutely. No, spot on. Observation is the highest skill we can develop in ourselves.
okay, okay, okay.
Because the more you observe, the more you listen, the more you'll pause while speaking, the more you will mold your communication, everything.
Yes, yes. So that's a really important skill, which I also believe that because in empathy, because every time the situation cannot be relatable, and you have to absorb that, and you have to think according to that that mind, that perspective of the another person, and which we
Yeah.
lack in corporate, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't put it so generalist way. Yeah. But yeah, it's something which can clearly be improved upon or
Yes.
expanded more of.
Yes, but that is improving also because during my journey, I've experienced that it's evolving, and company also is trying to put a pressure on that particular aspect of human behavior and human skills.
Correct. So talent management, talent development,
Hmm.
that's grown in the last 10 years in a very big way.
Yes, yes. Uh, Ma'am, let's talk about failure. Ma'am, how to deal with a failure when you visualize it? Because when you visualize, you live that moment, and when that did not happen in reality, you are heartbroken. And I guess that is the failure which makes you depressed because you live that moment. And I thought that I will be that kind of a person. I will able to afford some luxury, and when that did not happen, you were heartbroken. So how to handle such failure in life?
So, firstly, I don't, if we keep looking at it as a failure, I think that itself makes it very personal.
Hmm.
Uh, there is always something that comes out of an exploration. If you call it an exploration,
Hmm.
it is very different. Uh, because we get attached to a outcome
Hmm.
is why we get very, very disappointed.
Okay.
On the other hand, if okay, let's look at people who, India tried the mission to Mars, it didn't work out.
Hmm.
There is intense disappointment, but I would say end of the day, it doesn't mean that the scientist doesn't get back to the drawing board.
Hmm.
uh, so or when we talk about Christopher Columbus,
Hmm.
uh, you couldn't have known America if somebody hadn't just gone in the high seas and said, okay, let's see what comes. We've
Yes.
had, so we live in an, we are actually very fortunate where stories of exploration. Elon Musk is a classic explorer.
Hmm.
Um Steve Jobs, I mean, someone again who failed, even in Indian entrepreneurs. When you look at Azim Premji or Sunil Mittal, many of them started with one industry, got into another.
Hmm.
Now, one, and even Walt Disney went through many failures. Now, one of the things that I learned was each entrepreneur fails.
Yes.
Failures are given. You
Hmm.
cannot succeed without falling many times. It's like walking. You cannot start walking till you fall. And even when you're walking, it doesn't mean you'll never stumble.
Hmm.
You will. So it's more about building that resilience rather than focusing repeatedly on just outcomes. It's
Hmm.
about honing your own self more of. And that's really, and reading up, watching movies. So when I started out as an entrepreneur, I also went through many setbacks, and it's not as if they don't happen now. It's simply that my attitude to them has changed.
Huh.
So I sat and read through books, I read stories, I watched movies. All are so much I did just to understand that there is no way you can achieve anything without failing. So other things you talked about visualizing.
Hmm.
Uh, we assume that what we've started out on is the final destination.
Hmm.
We are, I would say, very short sighted in our way of looking at life. Life is a journey of learning and transformation. It is not about moving from point A and jumping to point B. Then everybody would be able to do it.
Exactly.
So, yeah, life is a journey of transformation. It is not a journey of success and failure. Those are just transient outcomes that come and go.
Hmm. 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 Actually, I also think that people like actually glamorize that word failure, and people just constantly think about those ideas and those like their dream project. Okay, but I also feel that, and when I see the transition between from thinking mode to execution mode, you you will fail that, no matter how that in my case that when the interview did not happen according to my planning, I also feel that in that episode. But I also get an idea that I also get a feeling that I will try one more time. I will try one more time, even if I get failed in that episode. And it gives the what I will say chance to improve myself. Okay, but people need to make the transition from thinking mode to execution mode. And when you are executing something, you will always think that let's try once. So, which I feel about this failure.
No, very well said. You have to get onto the court. You can't just sit in your head and do it.
Yes. But ma'am, what are the things that affect our attitude? Because we say that we are just an average of 5 or 10 people around us. And when those people are around us who are impacting their attitude on us, it's very difficult to bring it on attitude. So how to be that one person in the room which we can infect other with our attitude, with a positive attitude, I would say.
How to be that one person.
Yes.
Uh, so there is a concept in Indian philosophy which is satsang and sangat.
Huh.
who you associate with matters.
Hmm.
And if everybody around you is looking to pull you down, then it's time to change your associations.
Hmm.
And, if positivity is inherent to you, then it's really for you to learn. One has to be able to rise above all those voices around you
Hmm.
and just stay at it, because succumbing to those voices that are pulling you down is just a test
Hmm.
for, can I really stay committed to who I am?
Hmm.
And that comes with daily satsang. You do um, your own, whatever helps you center in and come back to your core.
Hmm. Okay. So, in this period, like, do you think that self-talking is also help you to build that attitude?
Yes and no. It depends what you're telling yourself.
Huh.
Self-talk can be sometimes repeating, being in a whirlpool of negativity.
Hmm.
Or if you're sending positive messages, auto suggestions to yourself and reframing your thoughts, then why not?
Hmm.
And we all have. So there is a very interesting, I don't know if you're familiar with neuro linguistic programming.
Huh.
uh, there is a very interesting concept in that called reframing. Now, there are two ways of saying the same thing: I want to lose weight, or I want to be healthy. Now, when
Okay.
you tell yourself, I want to lose weight, you're repeatedly telling yourself lose weight, which your brain has associated with as a failure, or that there's something wrong with you. There's a repeat judgment going into the head. If you tell yourself, I want to be healthy, it's an absolutely new dimension you're creating for yourself, and it's motivating.
Hmm. Yes, that's true, ma'am. Let's talk about decision-making skills. So, how you take your decisions in life, and what framework, or I would say that what mindset you uh, think about while taking any decisions.
So any decision, none of us are an island. We are all social beings, so any decision will always have ramifications, not just on me but my universe of people.
Hmm.
And therefore it has to be thought through, and I will think through about the impact of it on my relationships and every space of myself.
Hmm.
um, so I will sit back, whether I'll sit down and write it down, or I will, depending on how big or small the decision is, I take support. I may talk to my husband or a friend. It all depends on, or a mentor or a colleague. So it depends on the kind of decision. But yes, I mean, some decisions need time. I mean, it needs reflection.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah, some decisions need immediate action. Then you just go with the gut and trust and move.
Okay.
You sometimes you don't have the luxury of just sitting back, but and ultimately in any decision, in any case,
Hmm.
even after how much ever you talk or do whatever, you have to trust your gut and move forward.
Hmm. Okay.
So yes, I trust my inner voice and move forward.
Okay. But like, whenever taking the suggestions from someone, you also feel that you are getting confused, because a lot of people will say that do this, do this, do this. Okay. And they are saying that you should try according to their mindset or their skills. Okay. And during this while decision making process, you feel I would say confused about that. So how to declutter your mind during that situation?
Pen and paper. First thing, I always get down to pen and paper. The second thing is, it's always what I call getting back to basics.
Acha.
Um, Getting back to basics means the vision of my life. What do I want?
Hmm.
What do I want most of? And
Hmm.
does that decision conflict with it? So often people take decisions impulsively, not realizing that they all add up. But if you are anchored in your vision and everything is in context of that, things start falling into place. Yeah, but do you sometimes lose sight? Absolutely. It's about taking a pause, checking in, and coming back.
Okay. So
And
that's,
even if you, yeah, and even if you're taking, sorry for interrupting, even if you're taking support of others, they are coming from a very well-intentioned space of what they know.
hmm,
That doesn't mean that what they're saying is wrong. Or so it's just about filtering how much of it is applicable for you or not. So it's that filtering process of who do I need to speak to?
hmm,
And that's why I said it's about choosing who would be the right person for what. Like, not every time would you go to your parents, sometimes you may go to a friend
hmm,
or sometimes to a colleague. So one is that part. Obviously, like, you go to your for financial expertise, you will go to a financial expert.
hmm.
So it is about really choosing the people carefully. It is about filtering, and does it fit in with my vision of life?
Okay. Actually, that brings us down to the two important skills, that is self-awareness and observation, I guess.
Bang on.
Okay. Okay. And lastly, what do you feel about this interview?
Fun is the one word I would say. But more than that, you've been very observant yourself and aware to come back to those two nuggets.
Yes.
So that for me is very heartening. And thank you for that.
Right, it's my pleasure, ma'am. And I think that we have ended this episode at a very high note and an insightful episode, I would say. Till this, like whatever I have did that. So thank you so much for this coming to the show, and I will really appreciate if you come again on this show and to talk about some life wisdom, philosophy, and spiritual aspect of yours. Because I during this episode I feel that you have that spiritual aspect in your life, and that help you to be the Ashu Khanna actually. So I would
So
like to discuss more in this aspect in the later episode. So thank you, ma'am.
thank you. So, yes, the foundation of my life rests on spirituality completely. And thank you for a very insightful conversation. It was filled with questions that set me thinking, had me reflecting, and really going into, traveling back to see what went right and what's changed me and how things have been. So I hope these nuggets are useful to others as well.
Okay.
And thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.